My issue is it paints a bad image of who God is, you know. And it's true, because if you profess to be a Christian, but everything you do
Is
grieves
exact
people,
opposite.
brings forth disaster.
Words fail you.
Yeah.
Yani unasikia tu.
Words fail you.
What I know for a fact,
Mm.
especially with the way most of us, even in rural areas, not just urban dwellers, we are educated. This thing of tribe and
Mtu
all,
wetu.
and all the things that have basically brought Kenya to the place that it is now, they are slowly seeping away. Those generations are they are taking, life is taking its course. Let me just say that. And people are slowly being phased out, and I think, and I choose to believe, a time is coming. We are going to vote leaders on merit.
This is the Vineyard Podcast, your weekly dose of fun, laughter, banter, and a whole lot of realness.
Yes,
Today we want
yes.
to be a bit real, yeah?
We're always real.
You know, the older you grow,
We not real.
the more you realize how governance and politics can make you feel a certain type of. Unajua kwa mtoto hata haukuwa na
Inaitwa acidity. Inaanza kupanda.
mtu kama tatu wakianza kusema na unakuwa please mzee,
Boring.
please.
Next.
You know. So maybe is there a need to ask you how you've been? Sini assume tu mko salama.
Yeah, let's
Mnaendelea
get to the
vizuri?
meat of the day.
Last week muli-assume. Jana hii wiki mtu assume, lakini ni sawa, tusonge to main points tu.
Main
tupu,
points,
tupu,
main points. Time is of the essence.
We were just thinking of how during the last campaigns, the church had a very big voice in fronting and championing for the current regime. So for starters, I'd like to ask, do you think the church has such a mandate to actually sway in the campaigns and the leadership and politics of a nation to that extent? Kusema, hapa msikanyage. Hapa, twendeni you guys. Let's go. You'll mtafurahi. This one you'll be happy about it. Do you think the church has such a mandate? Ama ni sisi tulijiwekea hiyo msigo? Wakili, madam wakili.
Yeah, then I want to begin because hope
Sonia,
akiongea content yangu inaweza format. Unajua kwa topics zingine unajua
Inaweza
ni za
fiat.
wenyewe. Kama inajua ni stronghold ya dada yetu, so it's better niseme point yangu. Before nibaki hapa niseme giving mutuse. Man, anyway. We are funny. Okay, no, seriously though.
Laughter. Banter.
Lot of realness.
For real. My opinion is, my point is very short, which is why I want to now just tengeneza the njia. But for real, I like your question because I am a strong believer that if you're a person of influence is something that should be stewarded very, very carefully. And every time we get around election seasons and stuff like that, me standing to talk to you guys about maybe my preferred candidate is not the same as a renowned Christian figure or a renowned, I don't know, business leader standing before multitudes and allying behind a person. Of course, we say everybody has freedom to choose. We know all those things, but influence is something that should be stewarded carefully. And so, what is it called? You can have your own personal convictions, which is why till date, we don't know why some of the people voted for in that ballot. Me, the minute I finished the elections, I went telling everybody who have voted. Kuna wengine hapa wanajua kura yao. And I am of the opinion, especially for those people that I've mentioned, people in high levels of influence, please, you for real, kura yako inafaa kukua siri yako. Because they cannot escape the responsibility that they influence the masses to move in a particular direction. Which is why we are seeing what we are seeing today. If we are honest with ourselves, because we know before the election, the last general election, people were very, very open with who they were rallying behind, and
Yeah.
especially the church, because we are talking about the church. And the church had its preferred candidate, and it was not shy to make
Walikata
its
story ya
preferred
hyena.
candidate known.
Nasai. Nasai. Do you know right now we would be bowling because of hyena?
Look at us. Now our
see us.
tail is between our legs.
True, yeah.
I'm telling you, the church, we have a lot of recovering to do. Dust is constant. Dust has been constant for the church. Because, kidogo tu, oh my God, it's sad.
True.
We speak about the church, not just speak about the leaders, because we know we are the church. Yeah, so it's those ones for, I believe, personally, I think we have all learnt the hard way. Before you, especially for, I pray that our leaders, especially religious leaders, have learnt that before you open your mouth to influence tens of thousands of people, and people, we are a very religious nation.
True, we can't escape that
Yeah,
fact.
people will take the word of the pastor as gospel truth, because you'll say, God has revealed. Hallelujah. Sometimes I usually think we can be shadow banned from this.
What was the voice?
Every time a prophetic word is about to be revealed. And many of us are gullible to that. Me, let me not go back. I just come from
we are not
Kura yangu,
Bereans
Siri
who
yangu.
actually go back and seek and search and
Exactly.
say, this
Yes,
is what we
I
were
was about
taught.
to remove kura yangu, and I realized people would cancel me. Yeah. So we're exactly not Berean believers. So I think we need to learn the hard way, and I believe that
And we are
if you're a
learning the
person
hard way.
of influence, be
Kura
very
yako, siri
careful.
yako.
Yes, be very careful before you lead people into a pit, and then now
Choose a man after God's own heart. That is my line. The rest is up to you and your gods. Our council, Modern High Council.
cancel, wakili.
Cancel us.
I'm telling you, legislator.
Legislator.
I'm telling you.
Mzito mzito hapa. I have a lot to say.
We know. That's why I had to get out of the way.
When the Israelites cried out for a human leader they could see,
Like
what
the other nations.
was the role of Samuel? Was it going and standing on top of the mountains and shouting, the Lord has said it's David, so we all rally behind David and we follow him?
Actually, it wasn't.
What did he do?
He went
He
to God.
anointed.
He just went, anointed, and shut up his mouth.
And he warned them,
He did
actually.
what God told him
He
to
did
do.
what God told him to do, and he stayed.
Samuel is good because he told them, this is what a king will demand of
Will
you.
demand of you.
Wakasema hatutaki kusikia hiyo wewe Samueli. Sorry.
Sorry.
Tatuma tukujiwe. Please, don't come for us. We just the babies.
Please.
We just the babies.
We are just babies, don't come for us.
If you want to speak authoritatively as the church, why do you do things halfway and have very selective participation in matters governance? So that when it comes to things that you do not want to speak about,
Yeah.
muna nyamaza.
Yeah.
But
Dead
when
silence.
it comes to matters, kuna selective participation in the thing. Choose a side. You are either in
Or
or you are
out.
out. My recommendation, stay outside.
Yeah.
Now,
Breathe in. Breathe out.
sometimes I'm tempted to be very bitter at the church because it's important to stick to your lane. It sounds weird that I say this because I mean the church is also the electorate, which means everyone who is called to be a Christian is also the electorate that is choosing. People who are going to be vying for seats are also people who profess Christianity in their
Yes.
mouths, right? But people who are in positions of leadership and governance in church, who know they wield so much power in influence and thinking, allying themselves to particular candidates for whatever reason they would choose, would mislead other people who would probably not even want to take time to go through people's track records because nini?
Ni
Kanisa
Mkristo
imesema.
jamani wewe.
Pastor.
Mpaka mimi, I was tempted to think maybe I'm not Christian enough because why is this person who's being called to be the Christian who's
Mama
not
Devia huko
swaying me?
unapiga maombi kila for
You
the
know?
nation.
Why is this person?
You're not rallying
Why
behind
am I
the
not
church's
running behind
choice.
what the church is saying? So maybe I'm not Christian enough, or maybe I'm not seeing something. Because you know the power that you have. There's a lot of power in speaking, but there's equally as much power in silence.
Yes.
In fact, silence speaks volumes.
Exactly. So where you know, the Bible even cautions us, where you know that the word that you will say is not going to benefit,
Zip.
don't say it.
Refrain.
Don't say it. And that has led up to where we are at now, where the church is so embarrassed. As a Christian, you go somewhere in a political forum, when they will say me, I'm even a Christian, you know, the principles that Christianity teaches us is honesty.
They already have
and
a
speaking.
formed mindset
That was
of-
the script that was given by the people who are there, and they're the ones who are currently kutufilisi.
They are they are showing us.
You know?
Dust.
So I would say, my personal opinion, maintain silence if you're not going to be speaking about everything that is related to governance.
So like the 202, 207, 2012, the church
Even
was...
other issues.
Even other social issues that
So you know
plague
the one
things
that
that are
we like
regulated by
talking
government.
about?
But you
know?
see, when it comes to the family unit, I feel the church is very strong when it comes to things that are attacking the family.
Yes.
They'll champion that head on.
Selectively.
But when it comes to our pockets,
Why
you
is
work
it-
hard.
Why is it that when it comes to the nation falling into shambles, we're not as loud as when we were as loud
it takes
at
1 month to release
campaigning?
a statement.
You know, we were so loud in campaigning for this person who is
For
this
the
and that.
current regime,
But when kimeenda segemunege, hapo tunasema no. Let's keep quiet.
Let's take a pause.
Let's take a
Why
pause.
can't we reflect
Let's
first?
reflect.
Why
You
did
know-
we?
Why
know-
did we reflect before?
you know what example is coming to mind? When Nathan was the prophet to David, Nathan will always keep David on toes. And we see David was a person God said, he's a man after my own heart. But Nathan, regardless of how people viewed David, Nathan had to tell David, what you're doing is wrong. Man, you killed someone. In fact, again, I told him, what will you do to such a person? Akasema, I will kill them. Akasema, haya, there is your judgment.
Your judgment, you passed it
You know,
upon yourself.
and I like what you're saying. If you're the church, you're not speaking to favor a candidate, you're speaking in favor of God. Regardless of whether the candidates, whether it paints them badly or goodly, because that's not your work. Your work is not, your work is to say, as a nation, you need to stand for this and this and this and this.
Just use Samuel as an
Yeah.
example.
If it doesn't
Very
fit in,
good
if it doesn't
example.
fit in that bill, the issue is not the church. The issue is that person needs to work on themselves. Because if you're professing to be a Christian, why will you feel offended when you're telling as Christians, you need to value this and this and this?
The role of church leadership when it comes to such things is to speak
Yes.
to expectations, values, criticism, rebuke, and encouragement to leadership, not to select and openly tell people to ally themselves with a particular candidate. Those are my views. Come for me.
No,
Please
don't
don't
come for
come
her.
Guys, you love me so much. Thank you.
Hey.
I felt so much love. If my mom sees this episode, I think she's gonna freeze because she's constantly telling me, "Why do you have to record these videos, Hope?
And
Why do you always have to speak to these issues? Can't you keep quiet?"
but
That's not me, mom.
But I usually tell her, "Mom, if you have a Wangari mother in the house, you expect her to shut up and keep quiet." No, you
How
can't.
now? Not possible.
This was what I was called to do, unfortunately or fortunately.
and maybe
Fortunate.
as we are closing, now that we know that and we are young and we are able to do a few more things more than our parents, because sadly our parents are now becoming apathetic. The other day I was having a conversation with my mother and she was like, I'm not going to vote. I think it really hit her to the point of, if this is what it looks like, I'll
I'm
rather
done.
not. I'm done with this. Because now, and you can see the disheartened that it has caused. And you see, my issue is, it paints a bad image of who God is. You know, And it's true, because if you profess to be a Christian, but everything you do
It's
grieves
exact
people,
opposite.
brings forth disaster.
Words fail you.
Yeah.
Yani unasikia tu.
Words fail you.
So as the young people, and as we are told that now this nation belongs to us, what are some of the things we can start doing, championing, voicing, so that when it's our turn, when we are the ones who are in those places of influence, we don't repeat the same thing? Because it's very easy to say, you guys bana mfai kuwa mnaongea hivyo, but in the next 10 years it will be hope. Maybe you'll be an advocate, or you'll be a CJ, and what you say will go. Because you'll be like, mtu ana track record mzuri, but sasa ni maybe uko na tu grudge na mtu. Now people follow that line. So what is it that we can start doing as young people to ensure that we don't repeat this?
You want to start, Daktari?
Yeah, in this episode, we've already decided. Okay. For me, I think the first thing I'll just say is, I refuse to be discouraged. Like,
That's nice.
I refuse to be. You know, the way this, is it a dying man clutches at a straw? I refuse. Like, if we now give up, and then what? Look at us, it's our turn to be adults. We don't have, we can't give up.
Yeah.
Our parents can give up. Them, they have already, like,
They're almost in their 60s.
yeah, they're in their 60s. We are literally just beginning, and I say I refuse to be discouraged, because when I just look at the mandamanos that happened this year, I look at what happened and how we rallied behind a cause, tribeless. Like, I was just like, if we can do this, my friend, it is possible to change this country. I know it feels like it will take time, and of course it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but that is the hope me I cling to. Because it's very easy for us to just decide, hata tukivote next time, bado tu wataiba. You know? And then you are just like, you know what,
no, we would rather vote and see tunaibu in broad daylight than not vote.
What do you do? Clutch at the straw. Wake up, go make that line. Vote. Like, some things, of course, it will always feel like it's beyond us, because the powers that be, unfortunately, they... We are very new into the scene, especially the political scene. Wengi wetu tumejanjaruka hii mwaka.
Actually, finance bill ilifanya ndo tujue what politics says.
So we are sort of like preschoolers in this political scene. But what I know for a fact, especially with the way most of us, even in rural areas, not just urban dwellers, we are educated. This thing of tribe and all the things that have basically brought Kenya to the place that it is now, they are slowly sipping away. Those generations are they are taking, life is taking its course. Let me just say that. And people are slowly being phased out, and I think, and I choose to believe, a time is coming. We are going to vote leaders on merit.
Meritocracy.
Yeah.
We are going to hold leaders to account. We're not going to have Murima nonsense.
That ethical bar will actually make sense.
It's going to happen.
How many
guys.
politicians do we have? No degree, no nothing. You even wonder.
I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
Fine.
We are going to sit. We are going to be in our 40s and our 50s, and we are going to look and we'll be like, oh my God. Is this Kenya? Is this the Kenya? Did we ever think we would reach here? So me, I'm holding on to hope. You may say I'm Delulu. I don't know.
No,
whatever
you're not.
It may be.
You're not.
But I know we are going to get to a place. If we continue if we could do what we could do for reject finance bill. Mbele iko sawa, my friends.
Fantastic.
Masiku za kuteseka, they are coming to an end. We are fixing this nation.
You see, even Mama had the same thing.
Yeah.
They only just had hope.
Yeah.
Hope of being free.
Yeah. They saw a white man and they couldn't believe, oh my God, look at us. We are sitting here. We are free. We are not working in a slave plantation. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
I'm grateful to my mom for calling me hope. Because I say maybe it was just as well that I was born in such a time. Because even when I am tempted to not feel it, the name reminds me that this nation, I cannot just wake up and abandon ship.
You can't.
God was very intentional in allowing us to be here at such a time as this and in this dispensation. I began by telling the church what not to do, but here's a good thing I can tell you, church. Now, here's exactly what you can do.
What you need to do.
Civic education is the only thing you can do. Invest in educating your people.
Yeah.
Invest in having your congregations know values and principles to look out for in terms of good leadership. Invest in having your people know the values they should hold on to when it comes to election period, so that they're not swayed by every Tom, Dick and Harry that comes and gives them 50 bob. Invest in telling them that the 50 bob can be sufficient for that day. In fact, it's not. But it can be sufficient for that day, but will not take you through the 5 years that the person is in a term of office. So think wisely. This is what the church can invest in doing. You already have the platforms. You don't even need to set up anymore.
You have the
audiences.
Yeah.
You have everything you need to be able to do that. You have the manuscript, the Bible. You don't even need to craft anything else. We have all that we need inside there. Number 2, young people need to go and get their voters cards.
ASAP, like right now.
Whether unaambiwa ati yours zijatoka, enda.
And this is your personal responsibility. Don't wait for rallying calls and whatever. If you know what you need this nation to do for you, if you know what you need to do for this nation, this is your personal responsibility. The onus is on you to make sure you have your own voters card. Kuna kufata fatwa. Because we are the ones who are going to make sure this nation stands, or we crumble right along with it.
People
By
need
hook
to
or by
go home.
crook.
We need to take responsibility and step up. There's no wishy anymore. Nobody's
Hakuna.
coming to save us, my friends.
Eh,
Nobody's coming to save us.
We've
We're
seen
the
that.
only ones that can do this for our nation. So in whatever capacity, in whatever space you're at, if it's civic education you can do, ni sawa. Kama wewe si wa offer yourself up for leadership, if it's civic education you can do. If you are called into leadership and you know that you've got the gift and you know you've got the competence, by the way, offer yourself up for leadership. Start your campaigning in your ground, uku kwenye ground. Start your campaigning. Nenda, seek for votes. Speak to people about what you will do. Identify issues that you can resolve and assist to resolve. Because that's what we need in this country. That's what we need in this country. So me, no matter what happens, I'm Kenyan, will forever be Kenyan, because that's what God meant me to be. I will own that with pride. And I will make sure I act accordingly. Which means to take responsibility for my country.
Wow. The future is at hand, and if you're there, you're wondering, please go and take your voter's card. Don't be part of the people who are hopeless, or you're thinking, this is it. Let me nenda maju guys, sign it makes sense. This is still home, this is still where we're at. And there's something I like. There's a reason, and what Hope said, there's a reason why you're born in Kenya. So in as much as unenda maju, take voters card and impact change where you're at. It starts small. So this is a Vineyard. Share your sentiments on what you think about as young people. What can we start doing to ensure that we have a better Kenya? And with that, allow us to close. See you when you see us. Until next time, have a good night, good morning, wherever you're watching us from.
Bye-bye.
Bye.